Hi guys, welcome back to the Hugh video, and in this video I'm going to be showcasing my new Mac Pro 5.1 along with installing some upgrades to it, hopefully to make it one of the best Mac Pro 5.1s out there. This Mac was hand delivered to my door by the seller, and as it stands, this Mac is packing two 6-core 3.46 GHz Intel Xeon processors to create a 12-core beast. These are the fastest and most powerful processors supported in the Mac Pro. It's loaded with 64 gigs of RAM, a 500 GB SSD, and a 4 TB hard drive, as well as an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 980, which has also been Mac flashed. First things first, I had to remove my Mac Pro 1.1 from 2006, which hasn't been used daily since January of 2018. First, removing my hard drives and leaving only the SSD, and reinstalling the original 250 GB hard drive back into it. Now it's time to transfer all of my data from my old Mac Pro by simply transferring the hard drives from the 1.1 to the 5.1 Mac Pro. Installed in the Mac Pro will be a 500 GB SSD, a 4 TB hard drive, 2 TB hard drive, and a 1 TB hard drive. I will later be replacing that 1 TB hard drive with another 4 TB. But for the meantime, this will do just fine. I also noticed the slightly different attachment method with the 5.1 for the hard drives. There's sort of a grommet in place which stops the drive screws from falling out. With all my data now installed, it's time for a first boot. Now with the flash graphics cards in the Mac Pros, they take a little bit longer to post, sort of like the PowerPC Max, and it has a lot of text on boot, but an advantage of having a Mac flash graphics card is, of course, you can still access the boot menu and see some of the progress on boot. Now I noticed after turning on File Vault that the boot screen is then black, and you also don't see the Apple logo, and the progress bar is actually just over more text, so it doesn't look as good if you have File Vault turned on, but either way it works just fine. Now the first thing I did when I got into the OS was install an application called DriveDX. Now this tests the health of drives in your computer. Taking a look at the 4 TB, I could see that it had over 32,000 hours on it and only had a power cycle count of 167. Along with that, it was throwing out some errors, and all up had over 29 TB written to it. Turns out this drive had obviously been in some kind of server, and you can see there that the load cycle count was massive and it was nearing the end of its life. So I got in contact with the seller I bought this off and complained a little bit, and he sent me a brand new 4 TB Western Digital Blue, which I'll be replacing that drive with. So that was extremely lucky that I had that application, and I later purchased DriveDX, which was around $30, but definitely worth it, and that's an excellent example of why. Next up are two must-have upgrades for the older Mac Pros. This is a USB 3.0 card and an upgraded Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card. As a limitation with these older Mac Pros was the lack of the latest spec Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so with this upgrade you can get AirDrop to iOS devices, Apple Watch unlock, and even handoff on an unsupported Mac. I'll have links to all of these items in the description. Thanks to Local 338 Shop for giving me a good deal on these items, and if you're looking to upgrade your older Mac, this guy has loads of upgrades, including a USB-C card, which I find amazing considering the age of this Mac Pro. Taking a look at what I got here, you can see I got two pretty plain boxes, which have some writing on the front. Taking a look at this one, which has 4.1/5.1 on it, that is obviously going to be our Wi-Fi upgrade. In there you'll find two antenna wires, which are extensions for the Bluetooth. There's a spare one in there in case you break one. Underneath that there was the Wi-Fi card and the adapter it sits in. And underneath that again there was some mounting hardware, some screws, and some heat shrink to neaten up those cables. Underneath that is a CD which has all of the instructions needed to install this card. Taking a look at the other box, you'll find the USB 3 card, which has 4 USB 3 ports on it, and underneath that is a driver CD, which flat out didn't work and wasn't even recognized by my Mac. Taking this out of the packaging will reveal that there's no power cable on this, which is what you need if you have a Mac Pro and you don't want to do any hacking to the power supply or try and get power from some other spot of the Mac Pro. And that's what I wanted to go with, so I picked up this one from Nanotech. Now, this doesn't contain external power, which has its downfalls, which I'll talk a little bit about later, but for USBs, it works just fine. So to install these upgrades, I'm going to have to open up the Mac Pro, making sure to disconnect everything from the computer, obviously shut it down, and first remove the CPU tray from the Mac Pro. This comes out quite easily, you just need to flip the tabs and slide it out of the casing. On the tray itself, you'll find the CPUs as well as the RAM for your Mac Pro. Now that we have that out of the way, we can see the old Wi-Fi and Bluetooth modules, which will need to be removed to install the new ones. What I did was I disconnected the antenna and power cable from the Bluetooth module, but left it in place so I could always reattach it in case anything happened. Next up, I attached the extension wire to one end of the Bluetooth antenna. After all of the right side of the Mac Pro was taken care of, it was time to remove the old Wi-Fi card from the Mac Pro. Simply remove the 2 screws and 2 antennas and the thing comes right out of the case. Now underneath that you'll actually find the 3rd antenna wire for the Wi-Fi. Now this will be used with the new adapter, so you'll need to take off the little plastic covering to make that connection. After that, you can connect the Bluetooth wire to the airport card. Now I just followed the guide that was included with this on that CD. I downloaded it onto my other Mac so I could go through and make sure to connect the wires in the correct spots. After connecting all the wires to the module itself, I could install the adapter board into the Mac Pro, and then the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module just plugs in and doesn't require any screws. I believe the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card itself is from a MacBook Pro, but I'm not too sure on that. After everything's done, I can tidy up the wires and basically we're ready to go. I didn't cable tie and make everything real neat just yet because I wanted to make sure it was fully functional before I heat shrunk the connections and made everything neat and tidy, which I'll do off camera. And for those wondering, that wire that's going across and connecting to where the Bluetooth used to go, that's USB power. Now that we're done, I can slide the CPU and RAM tray back into the Mac Pro, making sure to lock it in place. Now that that's installed, it's time to install the USB 3 card. It's pretty easy to install, you just have to remove the securing plate and unlock the PCI slots, and it just slots right in, and then you can just screw everything back together. Now the nice thing about this is it doesn't require any power, so you don't have to try and mod that to work. But the downside to this is if you want to connect things that draw a lot of power, like external hard drives, then this isn't going to work with more than one. If you have an externally powered hard drive, then it's going to work just fine. But if you've got the laptop size ones, connecting more than one up at a time will cause one of them to disconnect randomly. The last upgrade I'm going to be doing to this Mac Pro is installing a Blu-ray drive into the second drive bay. Now there's already a DVD drive in there, but I had a Blu-ray drive laying around. I thought I should put it to use in the Mac Pro itself. Now it's amazing how good these Macs are engineered. Basically the whole thing is aluminum and everything is modular and comes out, and upgrades are very simple, something that Apple doesn't do anymore. The DVD drive is extremely simple to put in, the cables are perfect in length, and it's such a shame that they don't do this today. With the newer Mac Pros, barely upgradable compared to this thing, you can throw DVD drives, Blu-rays, upgrade the graphics card, the RAM, the Wi-Fi card, the Bluetooth card, everything you can think of you can upgrade in this machine. It's nuts, and this back in the day was my dream machine that I now finally own. With the upgrades installed, I can close up the Mac and give it a test boot, make sure everything is functioning as it should. Upon boot, I noticed that my Magic Mouse wouldn't connect and had major issues trying to get the Magic Mouse to connect. Eventually, about a day later, I managed to get it working. It just randomly connected after I left it connected via lightning cable to the Mac. But if I open up System Profiler, you'll see that it now supports a heap of the new Bluetooth standards like Instant Hotspot, and things like that. And with the Wi-Fi card, we're now supporting AC Wi-Fi. The USB card is also detected and functioning as it should, but like I said, there's that downside of it not being powered. AirDrop works straight out of the box, and I was able to AirDrop to my iPhone, which is exactly why I wanted to do this upgrade in the first place. This is such a handy feature, and without this, I just can't use the Mac OS. You can also still search for the older Macs if you have some older Macs in your house, and everything is working there. Handoff, I couldn't seem to get that to function. It's checked, but it doesn't seem to work. But at first, Apple Watch Unlock wouldn't function. I was getting this error saying your Mac couldn't communicate with your watch. So I simply downloaded some app, and this is actually a beta version that's supposed to support Sierra, even though it worked fine on a high Sierra. This basically enables the OS to pretty much think that it's a newer Mac and allow these features to work. So I ran some diagnostics and it said it was compatible with the tool. So I went to the main menu, selected 1 to activate connectivity, and then it basically prompted me to restart my computer. After restarting the Mac, everything powered back up, and I turned on the Allow Apple Watch to Unlock Your Mac, and it actually worked this time. And waiting at the lock screen, you can see that it functions and unlocked my Mac. which is neat. But unfortunately, I've had major issues with the Bluetooth card. I've had no issues with the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi has been 100% epic and perfect, but with the Bluetooth, I've had it randomly disconnect from my mouse, from my AirPods, as well as just flat out not working at points, and just saying that there's no Bluetooth installed. For instance, as I was editing this video, I came across this where my AirPods disconnected on me and I went to repair them up, and basically it freezes up on the AirPods trying to connect and actually get the spinning wheel of death, although that for some reason doesn't show up in the screen recording. Sometimes restarting will work, sometimes it won't. It's all over the place when it comes to Bluetooth, so that's a bit of a downside. In terms of my Mac specifications, this thing is more powerful than the late 2013 Mac Pro and comes underneath the 2017 iMac Pro, so this thing is killer when it comes to specs and performance, which is nuts. I've had issues with the graphics card though. It's a driver issue, not an actual graphics issue, where when I put my computer to sleep for a long period of time and I go to wake it up, one of my monitors, which is usually the main one, just flat out is black and isn't detected in Mac OS. Sometimes restarting will fix this, other times I just have to plug the cable in and out a few times and it comes back. It's a pain, and I hope Nvidia releases new drivers to fix this issue. Although this upgrade isn't working 100% at the moment, hopefully I'll be able to improve that in the future. Like I said, I'll put all links in the description to where I purchased this, so if you want to pick up any of this stuff mentioned in the video. And if I can get the Bluetooth card to work, I reckon this is one of the best upgrades you can do to an older Mac Pro, because it gives you all of the new features of the newer Macs without actually having to buy one. And it really goes to show just how upgradable these older Mac Pros are. And a lot of people do upgrade the CPUs and the RAM in the Mac Pros. The person who owned this before me previously did that, but a lot of people overlook upgrades like USB 3 and an upgraded Wi-Fi card, or even a Blu-ray drive. And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffries video. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button and consider checking out my Mac Pro playlist for more Mac Pro videos. Also, make sure you follow me on my social media. A link will be down in the description. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.